The most valuable thing in my house is a plastic storage box in my mom's closet. It sits on a shelf above hangers of clothes, and it's been there since we moved in 10 years ago. Inside, there's stacks of photos and photo albums. I don't go through this box often, but when I do, it's a trip down memory lane. But not mine, hers, my mom's. Her friends and family, her snapshots of life, her 80s fashion, her many, many family dinners, some that even I get to feature in, and a lot of pictures of Disney. There's the photos of Vietnam, where I get to see my mom as a little girl, my grandma when she was younger, my aunts and uncles as children. And then there's the ones from Bidong Island in Malaysia, where they lived for 8 months after fleeing from South Vietnam by boat. My family had witnessed the end of the Vietnam War, witnessed the North invading the South, the fall of Saigon, the beginnings of a new communist regime. Like many other families, they had to leave their only home behind. Their refugee camp on Bidong Island was one of the largest refugee camps during the war, and by the time it closed in 1991, almost 250,000 refugees had passed through or resided in the camp. My family stayed at Bidong in 1978, living in makeshift huts and rationing food. At the time, my uncle was only a baby. My family had made friends with another family who escaped with them during their time on the island. We only separated when their family went to California and my family went to New York. My family resettled in Queens, New York, where they lived in a 2-story house. For the first few years of my life, I stayed there too. I grew up in the same rooms my aunts and uncles passed through. My grandma lives there by herself now, but there's been talks of selling the house so she can move to Chinatown and have easier access to the stores. I know it's a logical move for her, but the house has been in our family for decades now, and I'm sad to see it go. When my family relocated to New York, they had little belongings. They couldn't take much when they fled Vietnam, there wasn't time. In Vietnam, my grandpa was the premier exporter of condensed milk and cigars. He made a lot of money doing so. In the States, they had nothing. So my grandparents opened a fish shop in Chinatown to earn money. As children, me and my cousins would play while our moms worked. My mom used to let me run up and down the aisles and explore the alleys behind the shop and stay up front at the register. I don't remember the shop much because I was too young, and my grandparents eventually sold it before I had a chance to commit it to conscious memory. As I sift through the piles of photos, I'm reminded of how sentimental my mom is. She's the type of sentimentalist to have pictures of other people's kids. The type to pose in front of every structure like each new place she visits will be the last. She documented her first home in Florida like she was putting it up on the market. She keeps the notes written on the back of photos by friends she hasn't been in contact with for years. I ask her about these girls, and she tells me they were next-door neighbors in Vietnam. They might be in Wisconsin now, she says. I realize that she's a lot like me. Or maybe I'm like her, taking pictures of everything, forming attachments to every memory. I'm grateful for it, though, being able to learn her life story this way. I think I would do good being more like her.